Pets Life with Gym Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit petslife.ie.
And ready to go for today, and we're joined by Des. How you doing, Des?
Hi, John. Great to be here.
Tad
Thanks.
Closer to that microphone, just a tad, and you're grand. Yeah,
Great to be here, John.
Bit,
Feeling good today, thank you.
Feeling good.
Yeah.
You watched the Leinster game last week, you did?
I did watch the Leinster game. They were fantastic. I don't subscribe to the doom and gloom that they still have a lot to learn and all the rest of it. I think they're capable of putting in a good performance on the big day, and fingers crossed they'll turn the screw on La Rochelle this weekend, turn the tables. But look, it'll come down to strategy and it'll come down to luck.
It'll come down to a bit of everything, won't it? Will indeed. OK, matters of hand. Last week we were totally concentrating on cats. This week it's all about dogs. Every direction we can get covered in, we will do. But we want to start off, I think, just talking about, I suppose, the amount of dogs that are up for adoption. Please rescue my dog or a dog. Please get it to a new home. It's everywhere. How many different charities are doing this? Yeah,
it's everywhere. It's very current. It's very topical. So it's something we should talk about, because we have 5 or 6 local charities alone, dog charities. So many people giving time and effort and money into the dog adoption, dog rescue issue. KWW SPCA. Now that's a kind of an amalgamation of West Wicklow, Kildare SPCA. They're based around Athgarvan, outside Newbridge.
That's right, yeah.
Then you have Wicklow Animal Welfare. They're on the Wicklow side, somewhere around Arklow, I believe. There's a guy in Newbridge running a small charity on a shoestring called Man About Dog. Also deserving of help and support. You have the Kildare Animal Foundation, of course, been there a long time.
Yep.
Still working hard, still working away. There's a nice charity over around the Laois side, based in Portarington, Cara, C-A-R-A, Cara Rescue. Very active online. Again, a bunch of volunteers over that side doing great work around Laois, that side of the county.
Okay.
Dogs Trust, of course.
Yeah.
Dogs Trust, they're huge, well organised commercial entity, doing great work, and they look at it kind of in a more holistic way. From everywhere and anywhere. There's a certain amount of government support, government money.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of charitable donations, and then the all-important few euros that they get as an adoption fee. That helps finance them as well.
Okay.
So, for instance, just looking at the Dogs Trust website there today, they have a €220 adoption fee, which some people think sounds like a lot, but that €220, you see, covers the fact that they've kept the dog for a month or so, they've fed it, they've gotten it neutered, and they've gotten it all its vaccines. So the €220 would barely be the veterinary side of it. But that's the little cap, the little donation they require on adoption of a dog.
Okay, can I ask you a question? I'm scanning down through this now, and the one thing that I am noticing is the age profile of the first 30 or 40 dogs seems to be between 1 and 5 years.
Yeah, so what you're referring to there, John, is the Dogs Trust website has 117 dogs for adoption. On the website. Lovely pictures of them all. The age profile, as you say, is young adult, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely 1 to 5. Few 6 to a year, but mostly 1 to 2, 2 to 5, 2 to 5 there, 1 to 2 and 2 to 5. 2 to 5, although, and that's just down the first
So
page.
they're surrendered, you see, by people who discover within a year of ownership, 1 to 2 years of ownership, that they can't manage, they can't handle this dog. Speaks to a number of different problems, a number of different syndromes that arise when people get dogs. Right. First of all, people often get a dog that doesn't suit them.
Yeah.
Mightn't suit their house, their garden, their environment, mightn't suit their neighbours. So that is a bigger, more active dog than the environment will facilitate. That'll be the first problem. Second problem might be, whether it's a big dog or a small dog, might be the lifestyle of the people. They're not home enough, they're busy, they're commuting, the dogs bark. Nobody mind the dog during the day. So maybe social or behavioural issues arise because people are busy, people are away. That could be an issue, whether it's a big dog or a small dog.
Okay, so a couple of questions obviously automatically come into mind. So you see all these beautiful dogs coming up, and every dog, kind of every potential new owner will go scan down through, I'd love a collie, I'd love a pit bull, I'd love a whatever.
Yes.
It doesn't make a difference. There's loads of variations there. What happens if you take a dog on good faith and the dog maybe just doesn't agree with the family?
So all of these charities had a good look into this on their websites recently, because it's becoming so current. They haven't a complicated enough, I won't say complicated because I don't want to put people off, but it's a well-managed, well-vetted adoption process. You fill in an application form, and that describes your house and where you live and how many people are in your family. And they'll ask you personal questions: how often you're home, how many hours a day are you home, who'll be home during the day. So people who put these application forms together, they're thinking about the dynamic of who's going to be around the dog, and does the dynamic in the house and the lifestyle suit a dog, and what sort of a dog is suited to you and your lifestyle. So that's the form itself, the application form.
Yeah.
Then you'll go and have a look at the dogs. They'll invite you to look around, and there'll be a conversation about choice and picking and selecting and meeting dogs. And it'll be a two-way process. Well, three-way really. It'll be between you and the agency and the dog.
Yeah.
And they will probably plainly say, right, this one doesn't suit you, or this one does.
Okay.
So they're doing their best to weed out and prevent problems, prevent you taking home the wrong dog.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the stunning dogs there, and I know most of them are mongrels, and I know most of them are crossbreeds, and I'm looking at an awful lot of them. Yeah. But, they're the ones that I think are just the most affectionate, and probably the ones that young families would love. Well,
I advocated here last week too to say to you that lurchers, whippets, crossbreeds like that, who are really derived from that type of a sighthound, and greyhounds. They really do make very good family pets. Yeah. And there are loads of them on these websites. Now, the mongrel types, Collie Cross, Labrador Cross, they're really popular, and they do make very good pets. But again, these shelters, rehoming people, they're experienced. They'll have an adoption officer, and they'll chat to you about which dog will suit. If you're an active person who wants to have a dog for exercise purposes, to get out and about, then they'll pair you with an active younger dog. Yeah. But if you're a less active person, or a person at home alone, or on your own, or working from home, they might pair you with an older dog, a less active dog, a smaller dog. Or, for instance, as often happens, an old person gets a dog for company. That old person, I think, should be paired with, or should adopt an older dog. And I see there, for instance, there's a lovely older Shih Tzu on the Dogs Trust site, I think. Okay. Would suit an old lady living on her own. That sort of thing. Company for an old person. Yeah. But the sort of numbers of dogs that are up for adoption are staggering.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is just one page, and we're talking at 117 minimum. And the interesting stat that you brought to me there a second ago before we went to air was that was just going back to March.
Yeah, I've checked. If you scan through this, they're keeping these sites current. They're popping up the new dogs every day. Yeah. Those 117 dogs are only there since the end of March. Wow. That's 2 weeks or 3 weeks of a sample population.
Every month there's always new dogs.
Every month they must be going through there must be 100 new dogs.
Is this a carryover from Christmas?
Yeah.
A lot of it, I mean.
A lot of it is carryover even still from COVID. So the age 2 to age 5 profile of those adopted dogs, they were probably got as puppies when families were at home. The schools were off, the businesses were closed, the whole family was home, and they got a puppy 3 years ago. Right? Yeah. Now, that might have been an impulse purchase, you see. Maybe the dog wasn't neutered.
I understand that because I've talked to people before, and the one thing that it has, people did get dogs during COVID.
They did.
Because they were working from home, they were at home, and they could afford to give the dog time. Yeah. As COVID kind of came to an end and faded away into the background a little bit more, people then started returning to their day-to-day work, to their day-to-day duties, their day-to-day kids going back to school. All that type of thing came into play. And now suddenly they're saying it's not fair on the dog, which is a good way of thinking from the owners.
Yeah, perspective. Yeah. See, all of these rescue shelters, they have it up on their sites a lot of the time, a little narrative about this. KWWSPCA, the Dogs Trust, the ISPCA, they're all saying the common thread of what happened is that people went back to work and the dog was left at home. And then separation anxiety and other behavioural problems and just pure practical problems of trying to mind the dog. Those issues arose when people had to go back to the long commute.
Yes.
And this is why these shelters are now full of the age 2 to age 5 dog. The bigger ones. Bigger dogs.
Look, we all know that the reason why there's so many dogs around at the moment is because the euthanasia thing is not really, unless it's a last thing. If a normal, healthy dog is there, the trusts are doing their best to keep them alive, aren't they?
Yeah, 20 years ago, I did a little bit of research on this for this very radio show, and there were 6,500 dogs being put to sleep in council organised, council run pounds throughout the country. So all of the county council pounds, where there's a county council, dog warden and so on, they were putting to sleep collectively in Ireland in a year 6,500 dogs.
For no particular reason except...
Other than they were unwanted.
Yeah.
Now, last year there was less than 1,000 dogs put down.
Right.
Countrywide.
Well, that's okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now, that's up, though.
Half it again.
In 2022, there were only 500 dogs put to sleep officially in the dog pounds in Ireland. In 2023, it's up to 1,000.
Okay. And is it different reasons why they select the dogs to put them down? Is it a case that it's aggression? Is it a case of illness? Is it a case of injury?
So, not every dog is rehomable. There's a very occasional dog that has developed too many behavioural difficulties or wasn't socialised young enough and is unsuitable to be a pet through aggression or other behavioural issues.
Okay, and they would be kind of put down. Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, look at all the numbers and look at everything, and there's plenty of people. So, okay, let's take it to the next stage. Yeah. So people are listening, we're having a good chat about this at the moment. What's the obvious next step for a potential owner? Yeah,
the obvious next step is we do get calls, for instance, in our practice, questions from people ringing in. Any advice for me? I want to get a dog. I'm thinking of getting and they might mention a particular breed. And I'll always say, would you go to the shelters and have a look? You might get a young puppy that fits the bill that looks like that.
Yeah.
There are nice puppies there on some of these. For instance, there are two of them. There were 2 staffy puppies surrendered on one of the websites. They're only 6 months old. So that's a litter. Probably 2 that were left over from a litter. So you can get younger dogs, you can get puppies. You can even get Labrador and Retriever puppies and breeds, dogs that are in some cases quite expensive. They can still be surrendered. There's a couple of French Bulldogs on the ISPCA website. They would have cost a couple of €1,000 each as puppies, and they're surrendered at a year old.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Are they surrendered with the papers or without the papers?
Don't know. Probably not with the papers. Yeah. And hopefully also spayed, neutered at this stage too, so they can't be bred from. Because God knows we don't want any more of them breeding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right. There's a couple of people in already, so let's have a look at Tom. Tom says, would love to get his hands on a beautiful Cairn Terrier, but they seem impossible to get these days. Any ideas? Cairns
are rare.
Okay.
A pedigree Cairn Terrier is a rarity. I can't remember the last time I saw a pedigree Cairn Terrier puppy. So let's take just to describe a Cairn. A Cairn is a little kind of a tanner brindley wire-haired terrier.
I know them.
A little bit like an Irish Terrier.
Yeah, no.
They're not really a particularly common breed in Ireland.
Right. Okay.
If you had a look at the Kennel Club website, and there'll be a list of breeds there, and then there'll be a list of breeders under Cairn Terrier, and there might be a couple in Ireland, and there might not.
It's just because the dog itself isn't as popular.
They're rare. They're not as popular in Ireland. That's all. But you get different breeds that are popular in different countries. When I worked in the UK many years ago, we saw breeds that were more common over there that aren't common here, and so on.
Okay, so Cairn Terrier not that popular. And okay, so what do you say is something similar to a Cairn Terrier as an option?
The Irish Terrier.
The Irish Terrier.
Yeah, and you know what? Irish Terriers they're an endangered breed.
Yeah.
The breeders who have them are trying for them to make a comeback. They became less popular, less fashionable, because they're not particularly a cutesy, sort of a cuddly, Instagrammy kind of a dog. They're a hardy little tan terrier, and they need plenty of exercise. But if that gentleman is active and outdoorsy and wants a nice rugged hardy dog for walks and for outdoor companionship, an Irish Terrier would be one to look for also.
Okay, Damien was on. He says he wants to know any advice to stop a dog barking early in the morning. He's grand at night time. He's grand middle of the day. It's first thing in the morning. He's out in his garden in the shed. He's an outdoor. It's a Cocker Spaniel. We use him kind of for... it doesn't finish off the text there. But I'm just looking... Cocker Spaniel...
You see, he's active in the morning because the sun is up and there's daylight, and he wants action, he wants activity, he wants his breakfast. The best I could suggest would be just do more with him during the day, in particular at night, and tire him out.
Yeah,
and
give him a good walk at night.
Give him a good, encourage him to hopefully stay quiet and stay in his own bed an hour longer.
Okay. Another one on this is from Karen, I think. Any tips for a dog who doesn't want to stay on his own in the garden? He just keeps on trying to get out. Any more information on that, Karen? So roughly age or male or female or breed. Yeah. Just if you can retext into us there,
Now,
Karen.
this is an issue with lots of dogs. Lots of people have this problem of securing their dog safely and adequately in their own garden. And it's a disaster if it goes wrong, of course, because you have a dog on the road who's probably high drive, high energy dog, heaven forbid, going out under a car. That's how road traffic accidents happen. Securing a dog within a garden is an issue, and some breeds need a 2 metre high solid fence the whole way around. And there are active dogs like young Labradors, young Malinois, young Retrievers, young Shepherds. They'll scale a 2 metre fence. The radio collars are very good.
Yeah.
Now, that's where there's a magnetic strip put down at the edges, and the dog gets a little small shock if it goes too close to it.
It's only like a buzzer thing.
Yeah, and they're not cruel, those radioactive collars, because after one little tiny shock,
he goes back for seconds and then realises it's telling him not to go.
They won't do it again. So I'm a big advocate of those. I think they work in conjunction with a good solid fence.
Okay, brilliant stuff indeed. Question regarding adoption. How much does it cost roughly to adopt, and can you recommend any of the aforementioned charities?
Yeah, so Dogs Trust are the only ones that publish their cost. They have a fee of €220 for adoption. Now I know that they would neuter and they would vaccinate. So the reason why they're probably able to set a figure is because they have a process and they know exactly what work is required to go into every dog. Now, some of the other charities are not as well funded. They don't set an exact figure because each dog that comes in is probably a little bit different, and each new owner's or each foster family's circumstances are a bit different. But I would say, look, you want to be prepared to give the charity 100, 150, something like that, because bear in mind they've kept the dog for a while. They've probably incurred some level of veterinary expense and vaccinated the dog. So an adoption fee of 100, 150, 200, depending on your own financial means, would be reasonable, I think.
Okay, very good. I have a little rescue dog, but he just keeps on trying to escape. Likewise, a bit similar to the last question. Will he always be like this as he is a rescue dog?
Well, do chat to the people who gave you the dog, the dog charity you're working with. Ask them a bit more about the dog's personality and temperament, and how long have you had him, I wonder, and just reconsider if the dog is very suitable. It's boredom in many cases, those behaviours, so he is looking for more to do.
Yeah.
So again, I'd be inclined to say put it back onto yourself. Do improve your fencing, make sure he can't get out, number one. Number two, look at the dog's lifestyle. Is he getting enough exercise, and is he getting enough companionship and enough attention?
Dogs need that, though. They need a companionship. I mean, the one thing is, there's a neighbour of ours, and it's a beautiful dog they have, I have to say. But the one thing that I notice is, even if you leave the dog for an hour, he gets upset. And, they have a couple of other dogs, and they're good owners, to be fair to them. But I have to say, there's certain breeds of dogs and certain types of dogs that, one, if you put a retriever in the backyard, and the chances are he'll be relaxed and chilled and calmed. There's certain other breeds that are the opposite.
You see all of these behaviours that drive people mad and lead to them abandoning dogs or what's the word, surrendering a dog.
Yeah.
Those sort of behaviours, digging, destructive behaviours.
Yeah.
Digging and eating and chewing and pulling things up and making a hole in the fence and constantly escaping. They're all boredom behaviours.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Boredom. It's quite simple, straightforward enough. Right. I have a 2-year-old male Cocker Spaniel. When he comes in, he cocks his leg and pees on everything inside. I got him neutered about a year ago to help with this problem, but it doesn't really have made much difference. He sleeps out and comes in often during the day, but it's at this stage I just have to keep him out because he's peeing everywhere. Any tips and suggestions?
Yeah, he may not get out of that behaviour because he was probably neutered a little bit late, and he already had the dog. The male dog behaviour of cocking the leg was already well integrated into his own personality. Yeah. Might be too difficult to change that now.
Okay.
Does this listener say, do they crate the dog indoors at night?
Doesn't say. Let's have a quick look. I get him usually. The problem with he sleeps out and comes in often during the day, but it's at this stage now he has to leave him out all the time.
Okay, so a couple of things. If he comes in and blatantly cocks the leg after being allowed indoors. It's a privilege for this dog to be allowed in because he's an outdoor dog.
Makes sense.
And he doesn't respect the privilege because he does his business in front of the owner the minute he's let in. So he's oblivious to it. So you have to make him a little bit less oblivious to the fact that his behaviour is inappropriate.
Okay.
By letting him know in no uncertain terms that behaviour indoors is wrong. So the minute he does it, make a loud noise, no, stop, open the door and push him back out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So isolation or banishment back out to the great outdoors might help him understand that he's not allowed to do this in the house.
Just leave him out permanently, and just if he tries to come in, if he pees, out you go.
If you keep doing it, you respond immediately. The bad behaviour happens.
That means he'll get the message.
Yes,
that's the reason
like
why
a toddler. Do you know the way a child only, a little very, very small child only understands that they've done something wrong?
Absolutely.
If they're told immediately.
Yeah, we used to do that all the time. And anytime my toddlers kind of did anything wrong, we threw them out the garden and leave them in the shed.
With a dog you can, though, you see. Yeah, respond immediately and out the door, and he'll soon learn.
Yeah. Okay, I was wondering if you could let me know what kind of dog would you recommend for us would suit me and my husband. We both are walkers. We live in an apartment as well, though. We don't have a garden, says Valerie. A
small, older lurcher or whippet.
Okay.
A sight hound.
So something that's small enough but active enough to go for walks with you, and at the same time somebody that's able to live in an apartment.
Yes. It takes a small enough space there. We want a clean dog, and we want a calm, settled, sociable dog that will enjoy human company without being hyperactive. So a whippet or a lurcher, a smaller whippet or lurcher would probably suit that couple.
Okay. Morning, Des. Over the last 3 days or so, I have a fox coming into my back garden in Kildare.
Right.
What food do I give him? It depends what you want.
Please don't feed
the fox.
Please don't feed the wildlife of that nature.
No, you can't.
The only wildlife I would advocate feeding would be birds.
Yeah.
Or a hedgehog, perhaps.
No, if you give any fox a bit of food, he's there. That's it.
Now, there were a series of stories in the UK, the urban UK, in recent years.
They tried to tame the foxes.
About people feeding foxes and the horror stories that ensued.
Yeah.
On one occasion, a fox crept all the way upstairs and got into the cot with a sleeping child, and pulled the nappy off the child and dragged the nappy down the stairs. A fox.
Yeah.
A wild fox. And there have been cases of foxes ganging up on dogs and hurting dogs and fighting with dogs and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Don't feed foxes because... particularly in the UK, the south of the UK, they're not ruling out the fact that urban foxes could be carrying rabies.
Yeah, well, that's a fair point as well. Yeah, don't feed the fox, end of story. Just let them do their own thing. Is greyhound dog food good for other large dogs that are very active?
No, it's a little bit too high in carbohydrates and energy.
It's obviously the greyhound dog food.
So we have a few really good brands of dog food, Ireland Gain and Red Mills and so on, and they've made their name first of all by catering for the sporting sector.
Yeah,
whether it's racehorses and greyhounds. So, and they have a range of really good and very reasonably priced greyhound foods that are a perfect mix for really active sporting dogs, not suitable for a pet dog in any way. So I wouldn't feed any bag with a greyhound on the front of it. Don't feed it to a pet dog, would be my advice to you.
Okay. Golden Retriever is about 3 years of age. He lunges and growls at other dogs while we're out on a walk. Sometimes it sounds very aggressive to other people, but fine with other dogs while off the lead.
Yeah. Okay, that's very typical. Lead aggression is really common.
Okay, lead aggression.
Yes, lead aggression.
Explain that to me.
It's a possessive or territorial type behaviour. When he's on a lead, he's connected to you. So he regards you as a person he has to protect, and he behaves in this dominant, protective and possessive way when he's with other dogs.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's lead. It's a reactive behaviour, and it's lead aggression. You need to have a couple of one-on-one sessions with a good, dedicated dog trainer. Okay, somebody like the guy in Kildare Dog Training Academy. Look him up, Kildare Dog Training Academy. A couple of one-on-one sessions to understand about lead aggression and what to do about it. There are ways of getting the dog out of that behaviour, modifying it. It'll take time, though. It takes a good bit of work on your part. But dogs that are reactive, that can be trained out of them Right. From a vet's point of view, first thing I have to say though, right, if that dog is not neutered yet, you should neuter him. Before you begin trying to change that behaviour, get him neutered, because you'll get a better response to training and you'll get a better response to your attempts to change that behaviour if he's neutered and calm and his testosterone levels are gone. So that's one thing.
Good stuff. Right, here's another one. What is the best time to know, or when would you know when to let my elderly Shih Tzu go stage 3 or 4 MVD? He's on heart medication, says Christina.
MVD is mitral valve disease.
Okay, right.
So that's a valvular heart condition.
Okay.
Which at the very end, when it's probably not... we say detrimental to his life at the moment.
Okay.
He's on medication. He's probably doing fine.
Okay.
But eventually that dog will get congestive heart failure.
Okay, and that's it.
Yeah. Now, how would you know? The medication will stop working. Your dog will be coughing and listless and inactive. And his ability to exercise, his ability to move about will be very, very severely impacted by the heart condition. So when that happens, his routine will go. So the normal routine things that he likes to do, that'll stop, that'll change. And when that changes, then his quality of life has deteriorated. So how you decide when to put a dog to sleep is, your measure is whether his quality of life has disimproved significantly. And one factor to look at in assessing quality of life is the routine things that dogs like to do because they're creatures of habit.
Yes.
When they lose their habits, they lose their routine, then their quality of life is gone, and that decision gets closer and gets easier to make.
Okay, one final question. Here it comes. I have a 6-year-old mixed breed dog that last few days he's gone a bit weird. He stretches out his front paws flat with his back legs and backside up in the air. He stays in that position for ages. He was a lovely dog, but the last few days he has no go in him whatsoever. Could there be something wrong?
Yeah, there is something wrong. That's pain.
Yeah.
So that's a pain response.
Okay.
That sounds to me like it could be disc pain or back pain. Now, neck or thoracic, the upper spine more than the lower spine with that behaviour.
X-ray, is it?
Yeah, X-rays. Into the vets, have a look.
ASAP.
The physical exam would be, will you do a nice rotational flexion and extension of the head and neck and see do we elicit a pain response on stretching the head and neck, rotating the head and neck and stretching the shoulders out. See is there any nerve pinching extending from the cervical, the neck vertebrae down into the thoracic, the rib area. And that'll help us decide, is there neck pain, is there spasm in the back or in the shoulder region? I'd say there is, I bet you there is.
Okay, so ASAP, get him down, get an X-ray, get him checked.
You're right, John. He will be X-rayed, I would think, yes.
Yeah, absolutely, especially since, like, so you've just described that as a he's in some sort of pain.
He is.
Yeah, he is, yeah. Okay, well done. That was absolutely fantastic stuff. Des, anything else to wrap up on?
Yeah, quick one. What to do if you pick up a stray dog off the road?
Yeah, go for it.
Look, it's a little bit of an issue in veterinary surgeries that members of the public arriving in with strays and they don't know what to do with them. It's happening every day of the week. Problem in vet practices, vet surgeries, is they're often there often isn't space for us to take dogs off people's hands.
Yeah.
In our clinics, in our kennels, right? B, these dogs coming in, they're a health and safety risk for us in a commercial setting because we have other people's dogs there. So we can't just take in a dog off the street. We don't know if it's vaccinated. So you will get members of the public giving staff in vet practices, giving them a hard time and becoming irate, becoming angry because the poor nurse, the poor receptionist can't take the dog off their hands. But there are a number of reasons why. They're not allowed. Management won't let them take the dog off your hands because oftentimes there's nowhere for us to put the dog. It's not vaccinated, etc., etc. Similarly, the guards can't take the dogs. Can't take the dog either because, as a guard said to me recently, we hardly have space in the cells for the homeless people we pick up. Never mind trying to put kennels in as well. So in the typical guard station. So what you do is, if you pick up a stray, right, first, make sure it doesn't live locally by checking with the neighbours in that neighbourhood.
Yeah.
Right. Then bring it to a vet's and get it scanned for a microchip. That'll be free. You won't be charged. If it's microchipped, we'll be able to trace the owner. That's the easy part. If it's not microchipped, we can't trace the owner, then you need to be prepared, probably, unfortunately, to hang on to this dog for a while. having picked it up, you are responsible for it. So you can bring it to the dog pound, you can bring it to one of the shelters, but you're going to have to physically do that yourself.
Yeah.
There isn't the infrastructure, there isn't the support mechanism in Ireland for somebody to magically take it off your hands. So if you do pick one up, you'll have to bring it to the dog pound, you'll have to bring it to the shelters yourself, more than likely, unless the vets can physically trace the owner through the chip.
Okay, fair enough on that. And there's one that's just something similar that's came in. It's just from Tom. He just wants to know, we have a 2.5-year-old pure Jack Russell, lovely, friendly female, spayed, has papers, fully vaccinated, indoor dog, well house trained, but unfortunately we're too old now to manage her needs, exercise, etc. We need to hand her or give her away to a good family. How do we go about doing it? So we're looking at it from the other perspective. Not somebody looking, somebody giving. Dogs
Trust have a very good process there laid down how to surrender a dog.
Yeah.
What to do? How to surrender a dog?
Yeah.
It's a phone call and discuss your situation.
That'll give you the advice.
Yeah. That dog sounds very rehomable.
Yeah.
I wonder, by any chance, would that couple be able to take on board an older, less active dog?
Yeah. Look, do you know what? They're local to you guys as well, actually. So maybe reach out and even just
give us
get
a
bit
buzz.
of
We
advice.
talk you through the situation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We could do that at Kildare Vet Surgery.
Tom, I think that's the best way of doing it. Go to Des's place, which is
Kildare Vet Surgery, and you'll find us on petslife.ie.
Okay, perfect. That's it. Done and dusted. It was way over time, but well worth doing and hanging in there, looking at just totally dogs this week. Thanks for your many contributions. Des, thanks.
It's a Pet's Life with Jim Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit at petslife.ie.